What's really interesting to start off with is I pulled out my new set of cards that got delivered, and I was shuffling them, and the first card that flew out was Sextans. Now, before this card even flew out, I was looking at the little brochure that comes with this describing the constellations. And so I'm like, huh, that's interesting. And then I noticed the bottom of the deck was serpent. This just sort of happened within divine accordance, so I'm going with it. I'm trusting the divine. It was just 119, and before not just because of like the energies, but because of all the information that's flooding through. Like there's so much here. So I pull up Sextans. It's a number, master number 77, by the way. And it just showed me 143 right now on my phone. 143 is a Tesla number. Why? Because Tesla passed on January 7th, 77, of 1943, which 43 adds to a 7. So it just showed me 143, which is a Tesla code. 119 is a Mary M code because Mary Magdalene is 119 in gematria, in simple gematria. And Mary Magdalene, I had a dream about last night, and they kept showing me the code 911, which is 119 backwards. Okay, and like that kept coming up. So I wrote Mary M at the top here. Okay, 223 just now, and that was her date of birth backwards. Her date of birth was 3/22, and it just showed me 2 minutes, 23 seconds. So there's a lot coming in. Also, someone that came through this morning was Persephone, and I know Persephone's tied to Hades. We do have Hades tied to Pluto. So this is really interesting how this is all like connecting in. But anyways, Sextans. So this is so cool. This is so cool. Bear with me. So Sextans is a constellation that's south of the bright star Regulus, which is like the lion star in Leo, the Leo lion constellation. Okay, Regulus is awesome. But okay, so it's a faint constellation. Sextans is a faint constellation south of the bright star Regulus, and it's also above Alphard, which is in the constellation of Hydra. So this Sextans constellation is right in between Leo and Hydra. And what's significant about this is the bottom of the deck, as soon as pulling this card, is Serpens. Serpens is in the Hydra family. It's the snake. Bear with me here. You're going to freak out. So I'm researching this sextant. I've pulled this maybe a few times, but I haven't really dug into it, to tell you the truth. The sextant represents an object that looks like this. Okay, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, and I can insert photos. It's actually a device, 4 and 4 just now on the clock. It's a device that astronomers use to measure the distance of stars from the horizon, which is so cool. And before I even jumped into this video, I was uploading 2 TikTok videos that are from a YouTube video of mine talking about the Antikythera device. The Antikythera device is another measurement tool that they used in ancient Greece. It's like a 10,000-year-old computer that they used in ancient Greece to predict the eclipses. The lunar and the solar eclipses decades in advance. And so, yeah, and it also ties into sound frequencies. And there was a sound frequency video that I watched this morning that showed up on TikTok having to do with healing cancer in the body and any disease or ailment of the body. Oh, this is all going to tie in with sound frequencies and how these different DNA properties of hydrogen and phosphorus and all this link to chords, like musical notes in the musical scale.
Your view on consciousness and energy sounds very similar to what Dr. Robert Lanza proposes in biocentrism, so that may be of interest to you if you haven't read that text. But about 5 years ago, you spoke about harmonic wave sequencing and how that could
harmonic wave resequencing,
and how that could possibly solve cancer or genetic ailments within the next 5 years. I think that was about 5 years ago. So is there much progress on that? And how do you propose that this resequencing would actually recode people's genetics in order to prevent them from getting these elements?
Simple. Our DNA is made up of what? 5 elements, right? Hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and oxygen. Do you know how they're arranged? The phosphorus sits right here in the middle, and you've got 4 oxygen atoms surrounding it. Then there's another phosphorus, 2 more oxygen atoms. Now these are the legs of that double helix. These are the legs. Now the latter steps on it, they become the adenine, the guanine, the cytosine, and thymine, the ATCGs. It turns out hydrogen, they used to think that energy, the body transferred or understood the energy information through electricity. They're finding out it's through frequency. Well, guess what hydrogen sounds like? It's a key of E. Guess what? And it's the color yellow. That's what proper physics gets you to. Oxygen is a chartreuse, and it's the key of F over F sharp. Now, they used to, like I said, information used to be thought about as just electrical information passing on. But I got a question for you. Have you ever been at a party with some of your friends you ain't seen in 10 years, but y'all was like 14, you hung out and there's a song that came on and you was like, and everybody got up and was live at that moment. Now say 10 years later you got a friend with you. He's a good guy, but he wasn't there when me and my boys formed this. So when that song comes on, our DNA tightens. There's a particular song, a scale in the genome for each and every one of us. Now, when that song is played, when your particular prime resonant frequency is played, guess what happens? Your DNA celebrates and tightens. Everything else gets pushed out. Harmonic wave resequencing. The carbon is also the key of E and yellow. The nitrogen is G, and all these play a song. So say that the F over F sharps of the oxygen, the green, is only hitting at an F. Why? Because there's another frequency coming in from a generator over there. That's changing and causing it to change. So this F now hits the oxygen, and when it hits, when the F hits the carbon, so instead of hitting as an F sharp, it hits as an F, so when it hits the carbon at an E, it doesn't hit it quite right, so the domino don't file right. So the next domino hits wrong. And so now we have malformation happening within our DNA because the frequencies are being pushed off. But when we hear our tone, we tighten back up. So yeah, I'm in the process of building the harmonic wave resequencer with another doctor who has been able to successfully cure AIDS and cancer. And it's well underway. But I wanted you guys to understand how that works. It's so simple. You do not need to tear the human body apart when all you can do is use frequency to bring it back to its normal space.
So it all ties in, the Antikythera device, the sound frequencies, and the musical scale. There's also a 223 number that coincides. That's a main one of the Antikythera device.
So the Antikythera has number 19, number 127, number 223, number 53. Those are the main numbers and calculations. Now you were getting 126.22 with the solar plexus tuning fork, which is very close to 127. Okay. Now we were getting 322, which is backwards of 223, so there's another significant thing. And then you were showing the ohm tuning fork has the 108.8, okay, and then you divide that by 1/14th, you get the 77.77, but the significance is the 1088.8. It's like that 18, which coincides with the 223 because it's the Babylonia 18-year cycle. And then the Tesla was 1.08 seconds. So there's something with the 1.08, the 18, the 108, the 1.08. 1 plus 8 equals 9. So 18 and 19 is just like one off. So like everything that you're getting is kind of like almost like 1 or less degree off from the mechanism of this.
And then we're here with the astronomy and the constellations. I bet there are sounds that coincide with the constellations that you can use for healing the different energy centers or chakras of the body, or maybe even your DNA strands. Holy shit. Okay, and then see how much, I'm just so overwhelmed. But it's great. This is so good. Yeah, so because this is a measurement device, and so is the Antikythera, and I was uploading those videos to TikTok, there's definitely like, it's all going to coincide. I'm like, when I pulled up what this device looks like, it looks just like the Antikythera mechanism that measures the eclipses. So we have these ancient tools that are actually quite futuristic. And so like, I believe our past is our ancient future. Like, I really believe like it works backwards from what we were told it works. Okay. But I'm getting this. And so Sextans represents an astronomer's device used to measure positions of the stars. Johannes Hevelius was the one who named the constellation in the 1600s. And what he did is he named this empty space that was between Leo the Lion constellation and Hydra the water snake. So this empty space he named Sextans. And he gave it probably one of the most important prolific names because this is the object that we use to get the stars in the first place. The locations of the stars in the sky. It's probably one of the most important constellations, and here it is. And I read about it in the brochure. I was immediately drawn to Sextans, and then I'm shuffling the cards, and this one pops out. That's a synchronicity to the max. Now listen to this, okay? So the brightest star of Sextans is Alpha Sextanus. It's a 4.48 magnitude, and I love my numerology, so I'm going to tell you here in it. And it's 287 light years from the Earth. Let's just go ahead and add this 4.48 and this 287. I really would like to see what we're here with. 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 7 is 17, and a 1 plus 7 equals an 8. So we're dealing with a space of infinite potential. Infinity, 8 is the symbol of infinity on its side. We have a 4.48 is a 12, which would be a 3, and a 4. We have 43 here. If you add the 4 and the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and a 1 plus a 2 is a 3. So we have a 43 again, 143 again, Tesla code. 4 plus 3 adds to a 7. We have like these coinciding numbers. We have these coinciding numbers. So we have 8 and 7. 7 is also a Pleiades number because we have the 7 sisters. It also coincides with the 9 muses. So like a lot of your muses and your energy could also come from the Pleiades is what I'm getting. Also, I'm getting like a high Andromeda energy just like flooding through me right now. There's so much coming through. Okay, so we have an 8 and a 7. That's really cool to know. Okay, so we have the brightest star of Sextans is Alpha Sextanus. And a galaxy that's huge, it's the 10th magnitude. It's like brighter than the 10th magnitude. Is called NGC 3115. 3115. A 3 plus 1 is a 4. A 1 plus 5 is a 6. So we have a 10. We have a completion new beginning code. We have a 1010 code technically. 1010 is all about, which can break down to an 11, which is 11 Stranger Things. I don't know if you've ever watched that show, but I think this is all going to connect, and I know it is because 11 kind of creates her own kind of monster from her darkness, and her job is to get this monster in control within her mind. And so this will really coincide here. I'll show you. 1010 is significant, and it has to do with the ancestors, and for me, it connects my grandma passed on Halloween, oh gosh, 2 years ago at 1010. Okay, so it has to do with like your ancestors too, like your ancestors watching over you. We have the Spindle Galaxy. If you think of Spindle, what movie was that with the spindle where she pricks her finger on the spindle? Is that Rumpelstiltskin? I also feel like it's Sleeping Beauty. Or is it Rapunzel? I'm going to look into that. It also has to do with spiders, and spiders have been coming up a lot too. Weaving things, cosmic cosmic threading, cosmic weaving. Okay. So it's the main part that I want to get to here with this sextans is in the galaxy that's the 10th magnitude, the NGC 3115, within this spindle galaxy of sextans. It contains a super massive black hole in the center of its galaxy. It's 2 billion times the mass of our sun. 2 billion times. And it's one of the largest black holes known. Okay, now consider this. White is the absence of all colors. Black is all the colors together, refracted back, which is why we see black. So technically, the dualism of the black hole is both the light and the dark. It is the entirety of the color spectrum, technically, but if we're looking at the other side of it, it would also be quasar. That's a white hole. So you have black holes and white holes. I believe they're actually both one and the same, and there's different sides to it. But the point that I'm getting to is because this is one of the largest black holes known, main constellations that is popping out, making itself known in a really big way here. The reason that you've gone through so much trauma in your life is because you hold the capabilities of the light within inside of you to transmute that darkness. You are like beyond a massive healer. Like I should be getting tips from you on how to heal. Okay? So it's one of the largest black holes known. So you have this ability. It's not, now this spindle galaxy, there's 2 of them. It does not to be confused with the other spindle galaxy that's NGC 5866, which is in the Draco or the Dragon constellation. It's not. It's part of Sextans here. And I just did research before coming on because we have endings, new beginnings here. This is like a huge transformative energy. And if you think about how energy works, it can be created, but it can't be destroyed. It can just simply be transmuted into something new, like the phoenix. The phoenix dies, it turns to ashes, and then it gets reborn from those flames. So you are a strong transmuter of energy. Like you know how to do this alchemy, this inner alchemy, and with other people's energies too. You're like a very strong healer. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, and I wrote this down, with serpents at bottom of the deck, serpents has to do with Asclepius, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's Asclepius. Asclepius is a Greek god of healing and medicine. And whenever you see the 2 snakes winding up the pole on hospitals or on signage having to do with the health industry, any kind of health building, it's a snake found on the symbol of the medicine worldwide. And the mythology behind serpents is Asclepius, which is that Greek god of healing and medicine. He's learning the healing powers of plants from a snake. The snake is teaching him knowledge, wisdom. You know what else came up yesterday was Proverbs 9:11. Proverbs 9:11 is talking about that Sophia energy. She who hath built her house upon wisdom. Wisdom is a snake. It's a serpent. It's the knowledge. It's also about like death and rebirthal. If you think about the Ouroboros, it's the snake eating its tail. So we're going full circle here. Literally, black hole, full circle. Both sides of the spectrum, duality, meeting in the center, and you have the power to transmute all of it. Can you see why I'm overwhelmed? Okay, but this is really cool. Now, a sextant object that measures, it's also... Sextant is a doubly reflecting navigation instrument. Doubly reflecting. If you think about the black hole, is sort of like a mirror. You have the black side, you have the white side. It's like all of it at once, okay? This doubly reflecting navigation instrument, it measures the angular distance between 2 visible objects. 2, again, duality. It measures the astronomical objects and the horizon for the purpose of celestial navigation. We have serpents at the bottom talking about healing. And so see how it coincides? You have the black hole, so you have the ability to go within and handle and also transmute some of the darkest shit ever known to mankind and celestial kind. alien kind, ET kind, and you have the power and the knowledge and the know-how on how to transmute it and work with that. Navigating it. Navigating it and also healing it. Even if you get thrown off course, you know how to navigate back. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if something throws you one way or the other within duality, you know how to get back to the center of it. Because you know how to transmute both energies. You know how to work with dualism, but also neutrality. It's amazing. Like, I'm so blown away.